If you want to be elite outside of the office, if you want the best body you've ever had, if you want the most epic marriage you've ever had, if you want to feel like you're in control at all times, you have to accept that there is this aspect of adversity that's going to come. My name is Brian Pannuzzo. I help high performers create real work-life balance, build an elite body and mind, stay accountable without wasting time or sacrificing performance, and making a little bit more money in the process. I know your life because I've lived it. I lived it for 20 years inside of corporate America. And if I can do it, if the hundreds of people that I have worked with, that I continue to work with inside of my programs can do it, so can you. Welcome back to the show. This is the Success Lift podcast. My name's Brian. I appreciate you being back with me again. Welcome to June. 5 months of the year in 2025 is gonzo. I tell my email list this often, and I check in with them. I write a daily email, and I let them know every once in a while what date it is. And I know that you know. I know that you know that I know that it's the beginning of June and that summer has just begun. But oftentimes we forget how quickly the weeks go and how quickly the months go and how quickly the years go. The hours of the day, of the workday, can go by real slow. The days of the week can go by real slow. It can feel like a real grind on Monday or Tuesday, knowing that you got to get to Friday and you're not even close. But we all remember wishing each other a happy new year. We all remember last summer. We all remember when our kids were a whole lot more younger than they are right now. And so these times fly, and we will be wishing each other a happy new year soon. We'll be talking about the summer being over and not being able to believe it. We will be celebrating the worst holiday of the year, Halloween, in no time. It'll be holiday season again. You'll be regretful that you didn't do some of the things that you said you were going to do around this time or earlier this year. And so what are you doing with your time? Are you capitalizing on all the moments that you have? Because we have more moments. And I hope last week's podcast helped you think a little bit about maybe your summer. Summertime's busy for all of us, but work does tend to slow down a little bit. The days get longer, right? I was up this morning and it was 5:27 in the morning. I was working and I looked outside and it was bright out. Now, it wasn't like the sun wasn't shining, but it was light, right? And soon, God willing, because there'll be late day golf, a whole lot of late day golf to play. But at 8 p.m., the sun will still be out. Now, will it be super bright? No, but it'll be bright enough for you to maybe be outside, taking one of those late day walks, getting some additional fitness in, just extending your day a little bit. So the summertime creates more time for us. Typically, it allows us to create a little bit more balance in our lives and get away from the office a bit. All these things I'm re-mentioning to you to remind you that you have more time. And it's the beginning of June. And sooner or later, it's going to be the end of August and the beginning of September. And school's going to be back in. And time's going to pass us. And so what are you doing with your time? I hope I can help you with some strategies. If you go back to last week, I talk you through how I think about the summer, how to create some balance in your life. And if you have any questions, just reach out to me. You can reach me at Brian at the Success Lift, or giving my cell phone number out on the podcast. I've gotten one or two texts, but if you're listening and you want to connect, shoot me a text, 917-709-4283. I would love to start a conversation with you. For those of you who know me and know a little bit about my family, I have two kids. I have a 15-year-old son. I have a 10-year-old daughter. My son is your prototypical athlete. He's a mini me, although he's not very mini anymore. For those of you who don't know, if you're new around here, I'm a big dude. You can't tell when I'm sitting in a chair, but I'm 6'6", 225-ish pounds. Jacked, right? Fit. I'm an athlete. And my son is about 6'4". He's over 6'4" in sneakers. I think technically he is slightly below 6'4" with no shoes on, but I convinced him a few months ago that his height is irrelevant in the sports world without shoes, and he's a baseball player, so he gets to wear cleats. So that's even a little bit more height that he gets, but it's irrelevant. So he was measuring himself one day, and he was bummed out because he had only gone from like 6'3" and a quarter to like 6'3" and a half from the few months that we were measuring his height. Parents keep the kid's height in pencil on the wall. And so he was all bummed out. And I noticed, I'm like, he had no shoes on. I'm like, bro, because everything's bro. Everything's bro with a young kid. Everything's bruh with my daughter. When I don't tell her something that she likes, I get a bruh. But that's neither here nor there. I said, bro, what are you doing? I'm like, go put your shoes on. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, no one cares how tall you are barefoot. Go put your shoes on. And he was able to scoop an extra 3/4 of an inch, and he got over 6'4", and he was able to celebrate that. So he's somewhere over 6'4". We haven't measured him in a couple of months, but he's probably 6'4" and a half, with shoes. So he is a not so mini me. Whether he's done growing or not, I have no idea. He's also a big kid. He's been strength training for the last couple of years. He's been putting a absolute shit ton of work into a huge goal he has, which something is what I want to talk about this week. And so my point is, he's not so many. He's 200 pounds. His legs are big. He's getting strong. He's showing me his pecs every once in a while. Dad, do you think my chest is getting bigger? I feel like my arms are getting a little bit bigger. He's embracing the jacked life. So he's working on it. He's still a bit of a, he's a 15-year-old kid, so he hasn't fully filled out. He's a bit of a beanpole up top. He's got strong base, strong foundation, and I'm proud of him for how hard he's working. And he has a really big goal. For those of you who also know a little bit about sports, he's predominantly a baseball player. He's going to only soon, if not already, only focus on baseball. He's grown up playing all sports. He played basketball as well in his first year of high school, his freshman year, and he had a great year. And he's a good basketball player, but he puts no time into it. I played basketball in college, and so it's a bummer for me to see him sort of, put that aside, most likely moving forward. But he is, which I am not, he is left-handed. And for anyone who knows baseball, being lefty is a big deal, especially when you are a pitcher, which he also is. And so when you are a tall, left-handed pitcher, you are entering what I guess, for lack of a better phrase, in baseball is unicorn territory. It is a very valued set of character traits, and you typically don't choose any of them, right? I guess a psychopath dad could tie his young son's right arm behind his back and teach him to throw lefty. But you can't choose your height, and typically you just decide on which one's your strong hand. And so he has those two characteristics. And so in addition to that, he's also a very good baseball player. He's a very good pitcher. And more importantly, he is obsessed with working on a daily basis to achieve, quite frankly, an astronomically low probability goal, which is to play Major League Baseball. If you ask my son what his goal is, it would be, I want to be a Major League Baseball player. I want to pitch professionally. I want to get drafted. I want to get drafted out of high school. I want to play at a major college, an SEC, ACC type of school. And so these are all very big goals that he has, which are very important to have with a mix of humility and the belief that you need to show up every single day and work. Because most people don't set high enough goals to push themselves. This is a separate topic, but most people limit themselves by the goals that they set. And so he's got that taken care of. He has as big of a goal in the sport as you possibly can. You can't get any better than Major League Baseball. I guess maybe he could, set a goal to be a Cy Young Award winner, a Hall of Famer, and a Major League, World Series champion. But those probably will come in time as his career progresses and he gets closer to maybe thinking that the goal is possible. But for right now, for a 15-year-old kid to respond to someone when they say, what do you want to do? And he says, I want to play Major League Baseball. We're getting out of the, 6 and 8-year-old kind of like, hey, what do you want to do when you grow up? I want to be a baseball player. Well, of course, every kid says that. He now understands that saying that means that he needs to back it up with a level of effort on a consistent basis that is just absurd, quite frankly. And the cool thing for me as a high performance coach, as someone who works with really high performers, not athletes, but corporate athletes, is that there are a lot of similarities. And so obviously I understand very well the physical performance and preparation that it takes. Now, let me be clear. I was not a professional athlete. I was a high level college athlete. Technically I played some small professional stuff when I graduated, but nothing to actually call myself a professional athlete. And I didn't even come close to sniffing the NBA. So not on that level. I also am not on the level of a trainer that would be able to speak to working with professional athletes. I've never worked with a professional athlete before from a coaching perspective. And so those people are at levels that I have not experienced in my professional life or my personal life, but I'm close enough to understand. I have a lot of friends who play professional sports. I am around a lot of people who work with professional athletes. And so I understand what it takes. I understand not only from a physical perspective, which I've just been talking about, but what I wanted to talk about today is some things that he's been learning recently, and quite frankly, he's been paying attention to for the last year or so, in that he's understanding now what it may take mentally and learning what it may take mentally in order to achieve this ridiculously high goal. And something that he's been listening to recently, he listens to a few different mental performance podcasts on a regular basis. I mean, by the way, I actually share these with my clients. For anyone who does have a sports background, this will really resonate. If you don't at all, it's still applicable because high performance is high performance. But two friends, quite frankly, even mentors of mine, Brian Kane, who has been great with my son. My son went through his coaching program with another coach, Zach Sorensen, who I'd also mentioned. They both have daily podcasts. Zach's is called The Hard 90. Brian Kane's is called Mental Performance Daily. Brian actually helped me start part of my business and mentored me through working with people just like you. So these guys are close to me, and I stay in contact with them. Hudson has done work with them from a coaching perspective. Those two podcasts he listens to on a daily basis. We also listen to Sean Casey's podcast, The Mayor's Office. He went through Sean's mental performance program as well. And so he's doing all of these things. He's learning that there is adversity that is basically part of the game when you sign up for this life of high performance. And that's what I wanted to relate to you, because I really related to it when I heard some of the recent content that he was listening to on a daily basis. And the message was that if you want to be great at whatever, so let's now transition this away from his career into yours, right? And I'll keep dancing back and forth because it's important. But if you want to be truly great at something, you are effectively signing up for a life of adversity. You are effectively signing up for a life of adversity. Baseball players are deemed to be wildly successful if they go 3 for 10 at the plate. That means that they fail 7 times out of 10. Now, in business, those percentages don't work out to be an elite level business person. But I know that you know how hard it is to achieve some of the success that you've achieved in your career. And you have fully accepted that adversity and setbacks and struggle, and like I talk about all the time, the grind, just doing it anyway, is part of the process in your life from a professional standpoint. The issue that I see with so many people before they start working with me inside of my programs is that they don't transfer that belief that it's just necessary, that acceptance that it's just part of the process inside of their professional careers, inside the office, at work on a daily basis. They don't realize that some of those things are going to happen in their personal lives, outside of the office, in their quest to have this amazing balance that we all desire in our lives. When I say balance, don't get me wrong. I don't mean spending half of your day meditating and journaling and having a stress-free life and the other half, doing your job. I mean, feeling like you're in control of both. And that is something that nearly every person that I've ever worked with, including myself, can honestly say at moments of their career, most of their career, they have not felt in control of their personal life. They have not felt like they're able to say that they are doing all the things that they want to do personally in their physical performance and health, with their mental performance and health, and inside of their relationships. They haven't been able to honestly look at those three categories, which are the three pillars of my programs, and say, I am maximizing my return for the effort that I'm putting into it. Something has always been broken inside of one of those three or all. And a lot of times it's because we experience adversity, the same thing that we experience inside the office. And so I wanted to remind you this week that because you have raised your hand and chosen to be a high performer, a corporate athlete, a major leaguer inside of corporate America, you have effectively signed up for this life. Now, are there ways for you to have it all and to balance these things and to be able to look and honestly say, I am producing at a high level in all areas of my life, both professionally and personally? Yes, I believe there is. I believe I have a program that helps people do that. But most people, when adversity hits in their personal life, they go and hide. They start over. They tell themselves the story that it's too hard to do, or it's not worth it, or they weren't built for it. This is the way it's going to be. And all the language that I've talked about over the last several weeks, all the dumb things we say. I think the podcast was 2 weeks ago or so that we did that. I'm looking over at my calendar over here. Okay. We allow this language in our lives. We allow some of the things that would never trip us up in our professional careers to trip us up personally. Because when it does appear, when it is constant in our professional life, we can always go to, well, this is just the way it is. And in order to get through this period of time, I sometimes just have to grind. And I have to expect that there's going to be adversity. And it's part of the process, and it's the cost of doing business. And if I want this life, I'm going to have to accept it. If I want this life, I'm going to have to travel a couple times a week or a month. If I want this life, I'm going to have to be out every once in a while, likely regularly with clients. If I want this life, I'm going to have to be up early and out late. Yet, and inside of our personal careers, our personal lives, when some of this adversity hits, we just default back to doing the things that didn't create the results that we want. And we chalk it up to it being too hard, it not being the right time, us being too busy, there's just too much going on, whatever the excuses may be. If you want an all-star level professional and personal life, if you want to be elite outside of the office, if you want the best body you've ever had, if you want the most epic marriage you've ever had, if you want to feel like you're in control at all times, you have to accept that there is this aspect of adversity that's going to come. Too many people believe that there's this hand that they've been dealt, and that they accept that it's just going to be that way. Well, I want to remind you that you are the ones who pick the cards. And you can choose to play a new hand. You just have to turn them in and ask for new cards. And not just ask for new ones. Strategically pick the ones that you want. And that is possible when you start to take control of your life outside of the office. And it is a whole lot easier to do than you're making it out to be. And oh, by the way, when you do these things, the mistake that you've told yourself is that you're not able to do it because of all the stuff going on with family and busyness and work and all this shit. Work gets easier when you do this. Is there effort that you need to place into it? Is there energy? Do you mess it up? Does it feel like a lot more because you're taking something else on? Of course it does at first. It's like learning any new skill. It's like you not being as good at your job today or 10 years ago as you are today. Why would you ever expect that you would be as good at your job 10, 15, 20 years ago as you are today? You have all that experience. So as you start to live a new life, you gain experience. You build new belief systems. You break down old ones. You show yourself there's a new way. And when you do that, you build a body of evidence. One that supports that you are who you hope to be, who you think you are, who you say that you are, these affirmations that we start to say or want to believe. But if we don't do the work in order to create the result that we want, we're just talking to ourselves in a mirror. And if you're anything like me, if there's no belief, if there's no evidence to support what it is we're talking about, you just chalk it up to being like some secret, affirmation BS. This woo-woo, airy-fairy stuff that doesn't work. It only works if you actually take the actions. And if you take the right actions, because so many people take the wrong, inefficient actions over and over and over again. And so understand that you signed up for this. You chose this life, but it doesn't have to be the life that you're living right now. Yes, adversity is a part of it. Yes, you do have to accept that fact, but you can do things to make your life easier. You could do things to get the results you want faster. You can do things to get it more efficiently. And that's what great coaching programs built by people who have lived your life do. They help you create speed and ease. And I don't know about you, but I'm paying as much as I can to do things faster and to do things easier. But understand that it's part of the process. Adversity is part of the life that you signed up for. And so if you don't want adversity, you don't want the life that you have inside of the office as well. And I know that's not true. I know that you want the income, you want the title, you want some of the purpose that you've created around it, but you can create the total package for yourself. If this message hit home for you, let me know. Shoot me an email or a text. If this message hit home for you and you know someone that would also benefit from hearing it, send it to them too. I appreciate you. I'll see you back here next week.